Hello, welcome back to portfolio number 3. This one will be covering projectile instantiation as well as a really cool trick we can use to gather information about the collision impact of the projectile that we're spawning. So this is a very simple scene I have set up with the character controller using Unity's pre-made first-person asset, and we also have the little blocks around here that we can change the color of. If we go in the player, we can actually see blaster I created. This is a game object that's basically holding a script to spawn objects in when I press E. So I can change the blast force and the spawn point. In this case, I'll be using color swapper as my projectile type. More on that later. And yeah, so to make a projectile instantiate and spawn into the world and do whatever you want with, first you need to create a projectile. So to do this, you just drag and drop in some kind of object. Give it the properties you need to have, and then you simply just drag it into your prefabs. It'll generate a prefab of it. I'm going to delete this real quick. And then you just take that prefab and you just drag and drop it into the desired location. In this case, I just have a color projectile in the color projectile slot of the script. Inside the code itself, onto it, and very straightforward script. We're basically just taking the key input E using the old input system, and then we are firing. So when we fire, we basically just have a simple reference to a newly spawned object. This object is using instantiate, which is a really cool function that will spawn in a prefab at a certain location and a certain orientation. So I provided all three of these informations about it, where I want to spawn in and whatnot. And then I'd calculate the direction based off the main camera's forward transform. And then I access the rigid body component I added to my projectile prefab and multiply a blast force against that orientation to apply force which will propel it forward from where I'm facing. Okay, let's go take a look at this in game. So press play here, move around. If I press E, it'll spawn it in and turn it blue in this case. So boom, boom, there we go. Nice, it's working. And the way that the color is actually working, I can go into the color projectile script I made, and we basically use this really cool on collision enter to gain information about the object we're impacting. It's a very powerful script. It's very useful in many situations. In this case, we're basically creating a reference to the object we're impacting, which needs to have some kind of collider on it. So we create a hit object, and then we are just changing the color of the material attached to the renderer of that game object. In this case, I have a predefined color. I said red here, but I changed this to blue in the inspector, which takes priority. And yeah, after you hit, just destroy this game object, the projectile, and you're done. Yeah, that's everything there is.